Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have our first expansion booster leader, Oden, which comes out a week from Friday, so just a couple of days from now. And honestly, of the three, he's probably the one that I mess with the most. I think he's pretty strong. He has a pretty linear way to build, and he's really cool to have a red and green Wano leader. Just because we've just had all the support, the fact that it's named Oden means it has some extra support too. And all in all, it's a pretty fun deck. So we're gonna go over how the deck works in general, an example deck list, as well as an example game at the end of it, and make sure to be on the lookout for future expansion booster videos, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button as well. So jumping on into it, we do have our leader here, Oden. So it has it's kind of like a combination or like reminiscent of the other two Wano green leaders that we have. We have the Oden from set 1, has its activate main once per turn. You can trash a Wano type character from your hand to set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. And then we also have the Kinemon from set 2 of activate main once per turn. If you have 1 or less characters, next time you play a land, a Wano type character that costs 3 or more from your hand, you can reduce it by 1. So you gotta do some pretty neat stuff with these guys. And with this Oden though, it has 2 things. One, I think the biggest thing that helps this deck is it has this, according to the rules, your character cards with type land of Wano with counter of or without a counter have a plus 1k counter. So all of your non-counter cards do have counter now, which is honestly quite amazing. There are just so many cards that you want to run in these decks, and they're like a little bit above power, and so because they did that, they took away the counter for it, and then you have like 6 cards in hand but only like 3k worth of counter with it. So being able to have all of your cards have counter, having no quote-unquote dead cards in hand, make a huge difference for how this leader works and just the entire archetype, which I think is very strong. You also have this Dawn ×1 when attacking. If you have a cost 5 or greater land of Wano card, character in play rather, this leader gets plus 1k power until the start of your next turn. So this is also pretty big. Being able to use this to be a 6k leader means that in some matchups you're in a good spot. It means your opponent's going to have a hard time attacking into you at times, and it's just like a really good like defensive thing, especially since it doesn't really cost anything as long as you have the 5 or greater on your board. So not too terrible to do that, and it's all in all just a really fun leader, and I think very strong too. So so the new 5 cost that we have kind of this combo as well. We have this 4-cost Hiyori that says activate main. You may place this card into your trash. Play up to 1 cost 5 or less land of Wano type character other than essentially another Hiyori from your hand into play, then draw 1 card. So essentially, it's just like filler for this deck. It's a free cycle for you, and you're able to play out your Izo or Yamato for 1 turn earlier or 1 Dawn less, essentially. So you almost always do it if you're playing one of these 2 or one of your 5-cost ones, which should be pretty often in this game. And it's a good reason to go second with this because you're able to play this for 4 and then play one of these 2 for 5. And then if you do that, you're able to use your leader ability because both these cards let you manipulate Dawn as well. So the new Izo on play, attach up to 1 rested Dawn to your leader or one of your characters. So being able to, again, if you're at 4 Dawn, play Hiyori, you play Izo, you go to 4 Dawn. Still, they're all tapped, but you play the Izo out, you have a 5 or greater Wano out, and then you can attach 1 Dawn to your leader, which means you can use it's one attacking skill, and it's a 7k attack when you do so, and then it's a 6k for the rest of the turn. So that's very good for you. It also has this: when your opponents attack, once a return, you may trash 1 card from your hand, and this is any card. It doesn't have to be a Wano card. Your leader has the land of Wano or Whitebeard Pirates type. Give up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters minus 2k power for this turn. So being able to use this card as well to help us just discard a card to get essentially make it a plus 2k counter is really strong too. So it just means you can convert any of your 1ks that you don't need into a 2k, and there's some weird situations where if there's a card that attacks more than once, you can use this to get that additional bonus. So if Izo is able to stay on board, it's great for the deck. It's just very strong for your value, and it's a 5-drop 7k, which is very obnoxious to deal with as well. So very good for this deck. We also have this Yamato. It's a 2k counter, and it also has this activate main once per turn. Give it to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or one of your characters. So obviously, I think Izo is the better of the 2, and you'd rather have this in your hand because it is a 2k, but being able to use this every turn after, if it stays around, is really nice. So there could be some weird turns where you need to put the Dawn underneath your leader, and you can't do so unless you have this Yamato effect out. So I think it's fine for what it is. Obviously, kind of like a backup plan for Izo so if you don't have it, but I think it's in a good spot, and it can be very strong as well. It's a 5.5k, so you're not really losing out anything, especially if you play it off Fiori, and then you can even start attacking with this if you really need to, which is strong. And it's to anything, any of your leaders, your characters, whatever you need. More times than not your leader, but it could come up for something else. So that's kind of like the basic for how this deck works. It's a really small engine for a leader, but then you have just so much open room for some other deck building stuff as well, which I think is strong. Also, I do want to mention 2 older 5-cost Wano cards. We have Yamato and Denjiro. I think they're both okay. Yamato is a bit cheesy for me and a bit expensive for other people, but being able to play this out for a turn earlier, again, make sure that we meet our leader's condition, and we have so many cards that rest that it's not too difficult to get this double attack banish off, but I do think it's a little bit too flimsy in a meta right now where there's so much removal that this Yamato is going to have a bit of a hard time staying on the board. So, but if you want to play, if you have it, put a couple copies in it, but I think it's just a little bit too cheesy and not consistent enough for it, because you know, it just gets hit very easy. And then also we have the Denjiro. Dawn times 1 when attacking. If your leader card is Oden, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So this one's really great. Obviously, it was supposed to be with the older leader, but being able to make the use of it in this leader too is really nice. Being able to get 2 Dawn just untapped for free, which means that if you played something for turn, you can get those 2 Dawn back and then put them on your leader, and it's just very strong. So kind of like, you know, you do have to have the Dawn already on Denjiro to get the effect, but this would be one of those weird situations where, you use your Yamato, you put the Dawn underneath Denjiro, you attack, and they get 2 extra Dawn you can put on your leader kind of thing. So there you go. But these are both good. I like Denjiro more right now, especially since it does have a counter in this leader, but Yamato is great. Again, just kind of expensive. And then some other notable kind of Wano cards that I like. 4-drop Yamato is amazing. There are so many decks that rely on their blockers, especially like 5-cost Sabo or 4-cost Borsalino. Being able to get take care of either of those with this is really strong, especially since it's a 4-drop 6k, so attacking over it is a little bit tricky to do, especially since, again, every card in our hand is a 1k for most of the time. And then also Ryuma, kind of the same thing. Obviously you can use these together to get the KO on something for 8 Dawn, which is a little bit expensive, but you've developed 2 4-drop 6ks, which are a little bit hard to get over, and being able to convert them into 7ks very easily next turn is generally pretty strong too. So I like both these as well. And then we also have the 8-drop Oden from set 2. Obviously, it's been a strong card in the original deck for Kinemon, but I think this is still a strong card to use. It has activate main once per turn for 3. Set this character to active, so you can essentially attack with this twice. And also on KO, play up to 1 Wano Country card with a cost of 3 or less from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So being able to play something on KO is great. There's just so many ways that this can get removed without being KO'd. For example, Sakazuki can bottom deck it, and yellow decks can put it back into your life with Katakuri. So it's not like the best card, but there are some decks that, if you're able to play this and it becomes uncontested, you win the game too, which I think is very strong. So also has like the Denjiro kind of benefit where if you played out the Oden, you can use the attack to, use the effect to restand, and then you can use Denjiro to untap a Dawn, the 2 Dawn of the 3 that you use. So I think that's strong for it as well. So these are just cards I've been running. And then also the 9, real quick, I don't think this is good, but I do want to mention it because I think people would be upset if I didn't. So we do have this Kinemon from set 1. It has this on play if your leader is Oden, which we are. You may play 1 9 red scabbards are also Akaza 9. It's just the localization differences, but with a cost of 3 or less from your hand. And then Dawn times 1 when attacking. Once per turn, you can set up to 1 of your 9 red type characters with cost of 3 or less as active. So this card's been pretty bad for a long time. The original Oden leader wasn't great at taking care of it, and all of our 3-cost cards are not great either. So you could maybe play like an Okiku, or you can play like a Raizo, Cat Viper, or even like Dogstorm is probably the one we can get the most advantage with because you can attack with this twice. So you can set 2 of your Dawn active when using its effect, but it's not... I don't think it's worth it. I think this is pretty slow by today's standards, and even though the synergy is nice, I don't think it's worth it just because of, again, a 6-drop that plays a 3-drop, and these 3-drops are just okay. You don't really get what you need from it. So other than that, I think the rest of the cards are pretty good. There's a pretty good core for how this deck works, and let's go over the example deck real quick. All right, and here is my example deck list. It might look a little bit different than what you've seen, and also the example match that we have at the end of this video didn't use this deck exactly. It used a pretty similar one, but I did some additional testing after my live stream, and this was just the one that felt the best. I think it does still have a couple issues with removal decks, which is pretty much half the meta, if not more right now, but if you're able to get one of your cards to stick and get value over 2 turns, you get a lot of advantage very, very quickly. So that's kind of what the idea of what this deck is, and that's kind of why it's sometimes rough if Sakazuki is able to continually remove your cards before they actually get any value from them. So, but yeah, this is the build for this one. I also want to mention that I think there's a lot of room for different builds. I've seen like a Supernova build, I've seen like a Straw Hat build, I've seen like a Whitebeard Pirates build. This is not the only build for the deck, but I think for your first time playing it, I think this is a good spot for it as well. So real quick going over this one, we have a lot of the general cards we just went over. I decided to go into the Mihawk package for this one just because I think that we're very tempo based, and so there are times that if we end up going first, being able to go Mihawk into either Arlong or a Ryuma, that's very good for us. Even though neither of them really get their on plays when you go first, because your opponent's leader won't be rested for Arlong's effect, and Ryuma's effect won't be able, like they won't have anything rested either. So, but just getting out a 4/6 on turn 3 or on 3 dawn is just very good for us. It means your opponent's going to have a hard time getting rid of it, and there's just going to be attacking every turn for the rest of the game. The other thing I kind of noticed is that like we need to have 6k bodies as our character cards as well, because if we don't and we buff up our leader as a 6k, it doesn't really matter if they can attack into a 5k or something else like that. So I found that just being really important. And honestly, I've been really liking Arlong in this deck. There are a lot of decks that depend on their leader swing. It's kind of like a better blocker in a lot of ways because you get out of a leader attack no matter what. And sometimes it can make it so your opponent like literally can't win the game next turn, which means you can be a little bit greedier because of this too. So I think it's been a really good add for the deck. And sometimes the life trigger comes up, so there it is. And again, since all of the cards in our hand are 1Ks outside of the Arlong and the Kid and Killer, we get the flexibility of running Arlong because everything else can be countered too. So additionally, we can we can discard it with Izo's effect if we have too many in our hand and use its effect, or even discard it with its own effect if we have like 2 in our hand. So again, pretty good. Kid and Killer also being able to have a rush card in a Wano deck is a godsend. It's very strong. It's very easy to put our opponent down to low life totals. You can technically play this off your Mihawk as well, but it'll be played in rest, so you don't really want to do that. But there are some weird scenarios where, you know what, if I want to put another body on board, why not? Just do it. Make sure my opponent either attacks into it or just get that tempo off the Mihawk as well, so it's not terrible for it. And then we do run 12 different 5-drops, so and then if we end up going first, we can play either Izo or Yamato and get the leader effect still, because both those let us put Dawn the turn we play it, or we can play Hiyori into Denjiro to get that as well, or just any of these either, right? But then also we can do like this is really flexible going first or second. I think a lot of the time, more times than not, I think the going first curve is really great if we're able to go like turn 1 into either like Momo if we have it, but like Okiku or Mihawk, and then being able to get the next turn of just the pressure, or like Okiku getting like removal. I think all of that's been very strong for the deck, so I like it a lot. Then kind of our end goal is just Oden. Again, we just kind of put pressure on the board with their 5/7s and such, and then we just play our Oden out. And then if they can't remove this, then we're able to just kind of go for game. So you really, really kind of want to prioritize the amount of tempo that you can get out on board. Again, being able to play these 4/6s are really obnoxious because they put a lot of pressure on most leaders. And then also they're going to have a hard time removing them as well, because they do have to put additionally, like usually what your opponent does is like, okay, this is a 6K, I'm going to put it on underneath my leader, swing 6, and then all these 1Ks in your hand are fine. You can pitch anyone you want, and then you're good for the rest of it. So generally, this has been feeling okay. I don't think this is the best build, or maybe even like the best deck in this format either. But when it goes off, I just I go for game. I have like 6 cards in hand, and I've just been pressuring my opponent, and they just really can't keep up, which is really strong. So I don't really have much more to say. I hope you guys enjoy this deck and enjoy the example game. All right, and here is our example game from my live stream. Again, if you guys want to see the full thing, it's on my YouTube and my Twitch, linked in the description for members and subscribers respectively. Looking at this opening hand, we're not a big fan of it, so we're going to probably send it on back. And we're going to be playing against Vinyl, who's playing on the red-purple Law. Probably one of the more popular leaders from the EB01, since it did get a good amount of support. We're going to start off with this Momo here. We're going to look up top 5, and unfortunately we don't find our 4-cost Tiori, which would have let us go into our Izo on the next turn. So instead we get the Ryuma and pass. Also, this again is a little bit of a different build from the one that I showed you guys. I've since taken out the 5-cost Yamatos again. In a lot of matchups like this one specifically, they're going to be able to get rid of it a little bit easy. So I'm just going to go 5 into their leader and play the Okiku to hopefully try to get some interaction with that Shiraya that's on the board right now. They have 5 Dawn to work with, so obviously it wouldn't be hard for them to use the Gordon or Raise Max to get rid of this, but they're just going to go simple 5. We're going to counter with one of the Ryumas, kind of maybe bait out the fact that we have a second copy of it, and then go pass from there. And since our Okiku survived, we're going to go attach a Dawn to it, use its effect to attack into leader, get the rest on the Shiraya, and then we're going to play the Izo real quick, and then get the attack in on the Shiraya. So get the removal. We're now a 6k leader, which is great, and we're in a pretty good spot right now. So again, we do have the Izo effect, being able to get the reduction. Also, the fact that Izo is a 7k means that they can't use Raise Max or Gordon just to get it into range. They'd have to use 2, which maybe there's 1. Are they thinking about using 2? Thinking about it. If they have 2, for sure, it'd be pretty scary. But now they're just going to use it on the Okiku, get the removal of that card there. Which I'm not sure if they needed to do that. I think they could have attacked their 5s into it, and then just playing the Vinsmoke there to get 2 more card draws. So I guess they did kind of need to get the cycle to get down to 5 cards for it. So it's probably fine. 6k attack, and then we're going to use the effect discarding a Yamato to give that minus 2k, meaning that we get a get out of that one. So I do kind of want to start pressuring them a little bit. We're going to go 5 into 7 real quick, see what they do. They end up taking it. We're going to put 4 onto our leader. Yeah, why not? And then we're just going to get the removal of their card with their Ryuma. So we got a good amount of pressure. They're at 0 cards in life. They do have a pretty fat stack in their hand right now, though. They did get rid of the ace in their hand. And so, again, they've got 2 blockers up, which our Yamato 4-drops can deal with pretty easily. Our Izo, they can only get rid of a 4 or less, so a queen and the kid is pretty safe. They're going to start going 6k into us. Which I was thinking about using the effect. Yeah, we're going to use it, just get out of it for free. Oh no, we're just going to use a combo, rather, to get out of it for free. And they've got 3 Dawn left. Thinking about what they want to do. They can like double Raise Max if they want to. They're going to be using the new chopper here. So if that chopper ends up attacking next turn, they will be able to get the effect off. So we're just going to use the effect of Yamato, going to get the rest on the queen, because that's the one that we'd want to survive the most. Both the chopper or the kid, if they end up blocking with it, they do end up getting effects. So we're going to get the 1k out of there. We're going to attack again 9k with our Ryuma, and then we're going to be able to attack 9k with our leader again with our leader effect, since this Izo's been able to survive the entire time. So think about what they want to do. Get the blocker there. There goes the chopper. And then just big 9. We're a 6k leader once again. They get the block with the kid, and we actually get the removal of it too, which is quite big. So yeah, this Law player does have a good amount of Dawn, more than I usually see. So that is a little bit terrifying, but I think we are in a good spot. They do have another kid and queen, best friends forever, those ones. And I've never seen, I don't think, a red purple Law have enough Dawn to do both in the same turn like that, but they made it happen. So they also have the Gordon. They're going to use it on the Ryuma, and then they can use the leader effect to bottom deck that. And it looks like playing a Reiju. So yeah, getting a lot of card draw and a lot of Dawn, a lot more than I'm used to seeing. But just not having any Dawn to attach to their leader or their Reiju. So we're just going to start attacking against 7k. Quick block with queen, letting it go. We're going to go a big 9 with our Yamato there. They're blocking, thinking about letting it go. Yep, deciding to save it. And that's, I think, going to be game over for them. We're going to go another 9k. they can block it with the queen. And then we have our Kid and Killer here going a quick 7k rush attack. Most players aren't expecting this card right now, so except for in like red purple law, obviously, but in a good spot. So there's a game for it there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, we did just tweak this deck a little bit from it, but I think it's in an okay spot as it is. And if you want to see more gameplay, make sure to check out my live stream with VODs, which are on YouTube and Twitch for members and subscribers respectively. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.